Welcome back to Science. Hope you guys have had a good morning so far and you had an awesome morning meeting. So, thought I'd start with a little dinosaur joke. Why did the dinosaur go extinct? Because it wouldn't take a bath. Get it? Stink. Super funny. Good dinosaur joke. I think a paleontologist would like it at least. So, when we talk about this unit, there are a couple of things that we're focusing on. So let's look at our I can statement. So I can analyze fossils and look at the fossil adaptations. And the adaptation it has to help determine where and how it lived. So for example, if I see a fossil that kind of looks like an ancestor of a fish, so I see that it might have fins, I might see that it has maybe a dorsal fin. I can see maybe by the impression it made that it has gills. I can make the inference that it probably lived in water. We can also see that we can see how the environment changed over time. So for example, if that fossil that looks kind of like a fish that I've seen before is found in my backyard, I can infer that my backyard used to be a water environment. Well, I'll tell you right now, my backyard is not a water environment. So over time, the landscape has changed. Today, we're going to be watching a video and answering some discussion questions that go along with those I can statements. Before we start, though, I want to go over a couple of terms that you might hear throughout the course of the fossils unit. The first one is a herbivore. A herbivore is a plant eater. A lot of times we will find fossils of plant eaters, and we'll know this based on the shape of their teeth. Herbivores or plant eaters are going to really have flat teeth, and they have flat teeth because that grinds up the plants that they eat. They don't need sharp teeth. They need the teeth that grind the plant. So those are called herbivores. Then we have carnivores. Those are the meat eaters. And you know that they need those sharp teeth so they can rip apart the meat. Just like maybe like if you use a steak knife, because it's really sharp, you wouldn't use a butter knife to cut up a steak. So they need those sharp teeth to break apart meat. So those meat eaters are called carnivores. And then our other type of eater is a plant and meat eater, and those are called omnivore. And you can see on this animal that they have flat teeth in the back, and then they have sharp teeth in the front. And they need both types of teeth because they need to be able to grind the plants, but also be able to rip apart the meat because they eat both plants and meat. All right, so let's get to our first mystery science video. I hope you guys love this. I think he is awesome.
Hi, it's Doug. This is where I grew up, the state of Illinois, USA. It's located smack dab in the middle of the United States. And it's all grassland. No mountains, no ocean, just grass and cornfields as far as the eye can see. This is what I saw every day when I woke up. But one day, my dad got me up and said, "Hey, come hop in the car. We're going to go somewhere special. We're going to see a part of Illinois that's not like anything you've seen before." "Where are we going?" I asked. "The quarry," he said. "The what?" "You'll see." At first, when we got there, I didn't see anything. It was still flat grassland, just like everywhere else in Illinois. But then, as we got closer, I started to see something. There was a hole, a giant pit in the ground. "Don't get too close to the edge," my dad said. It was a big drop down to the bottom, about 500 feet down. My dad explained to me that a quarry is a place where people dig rock out of the ground in order to use it for construction. We drove down a long, steep road, down to the very bottom of the quarry, and took a look around. Standing there at the bottom of this pit, it was impressive. I could see the grass and the trees up at the top. That's the world I was used to. But down at the bottom of the quarry, it was like a different world. No grass, no cornfields, This world was made of solid rock. I went up to look at the walls of the quarry, to look closer at this solid rock. I was curious to see what the earth underneath my house looked like. As I looked at it, that's when I noticed what looked like holes in some of the rocks. But I could tell by looking at these weren't just holes. They had some kind of pattern to them. They reminded me of seashells. My dad said to me, "Those are shells," or I should say, they were shells. They're fossils, the remains of animals that lived a long time ago. Whoa. As soon as I realized I could find fossils here, I started looking all around. And as I looked all over the quarry, that's when I found this. This was no shell. This was something totally different. What do you think it was?
All right, guys. So based on what we just talked about, what do you think this could be? Would it be a herbivore, a meat, or so a herbivore being a plant eater, or a carnivore, which is a meat eater? What do you think? Hopefully figured that out. It's definitely a carnivore. So, and it also kind of looks like a shark tooth, if you've ever seen one before. They're sharp, and you can see those little jagged edges.
Maybe you thought, is that an arrowhead?
Oh.
An arrowhead is a piece of stone that's been sharpened to use for hunting. This did feel like stone, and it was sharp on the edges, but it didn't look like something a human being made. It looked like something natural, like some part of an animal. But what? In ancient times, when people would find one of these, some people called it a tongue stone, because they thought it looked a bit like a tongue. But we know today that's not at all what it is. By comparing it to parts of animals living today, scientists noticed it looks an awful lot like these. Shark teeth.
Yeah, it doesn't look anything like a stink bug, that's for sure, and it sure doesn't look anything like a turtle, but it sure does look like an animal that we do know today, a shark tooth.
As you can see, shark teeth have these little ridges on the side, kind of like the blade of a saw. Well, look again at the fossil I found. It has these saw blade-like ridges too. Look how similar they look. Somehow, here at the bottom of this quarry was a fossil shark tooth from a shark that lived a long, long time ago. After finding these in the quarry, I was really excited. I wondered, what other fossils could be found in this quarry? What do you think?
Okay, so based on the fact that we found something that looks vaguely similar to a shark tooth and something that sure looks like a seashell like I've seen before, what other type of fossils might we find in this quarry? I'm thinking we might see something that looks similar to maybe a fish, maybe a dolphin. But I don't think we would find anything that looks like a jellyfish, because jellyfish would be really hard to fossilize because of all that really soft tissue. That would be really unlikely to fossilize. Let's see.
I'm not the only one who's looked for fossils in the quarries of Illinois. In some of these same quarries, other people have found fossils like this. Can you tell what it is?
Yes!
It's a crab.
It's like a crab.
And these, they're fossil starfish. And this, look, you can see it has fins right here. And right here is its tail fin. Fins, these are traits of a fish. I started to realize something strange about all these fossils in the quarries of Illinois. Shark teeth, shells, crabs, starfish. If you look at their traits, you can tell that they're all animals that live in the ocean. But the ocean's not anywhere close to where these fossils were found. I found a shark tooth in a quarry in the middle of the cornfields of Illinois. Remember, Illinois is about as far as you can get from the ocean. It's nearly 1,000 miles away. The animals that live in Illinois and the other central parts of the United States are animals like deer, raccoons, bison, and hawks. None of these are animals that have anything to do with the ocean.
Nothing.
Look at them. They have long legs for walking or wings for flying. Traits that help them live on land or in the air, not in the water.
No.
But sharks in Illinois? Just imagine them living in a grassland.
That's silly.
Sharks have fins and flippers. It's not like you're going to see land sharks swimming among the cornfields. So this was very weird. Why would there be fossils of sharks and other ocean animals in the middle of the cornfields of Illinois? What clues could this give us about what Illinois has looked like over time?
So I want you to just think about that. And that's going to be our exit slip today. So if we have, right now, Illinois is a grassland. But deep below the Earth's surface, we have found that there are fossils of creatures that seem to have features that would live in an ocean. So that tells us that the landscape of Illinois has changed over time. At the bottom layer, where there is ocean creatures, that tells us that Illinois used to have an ocean landscape. So observing these features of adaptations of animals can help us see how the landscape has changed over time. I'm going to flip forward here and we can watch the final video. Sorry, it's going to take just a sec to get there, of Doug. Luckily, you don't have to do any of that part. There we go.
We learned that the habitat in Illinois has changed over time. But what about other places? Have they changed too? To figure this out, you would need to dig down into the ground to look under the surface of the earth and find fossils. Once you find fossils, consider what you see. What traits do the fossils have? Where would they have lived? Fossils can give us clues about what the habitat used to be there. Scientists have done exactly this. They've dug down into the ground in different places all over the world to see if the habitats have changed there too. Take the Sahara Desert, for example, on the continent of Africa. Today, the Sahara is one of the hottest, driest places in the world. Temperatures often stay above 100 degrees Fahrenheit for months at a time. With so little rain and such hot temperatures, almost nothing can live here. It's just sand dunes as far as the eye can see. But scientists go digging underneath that sand, and when they do, they discover amazing things. Like this, the skeleton of a giant animal. If you can't tell what it is, here's its jawbone. It's a whale. And this isn't the only one they found either. They find lots of them in the Sahara Desert. Whales were once common in this area.
It's wild.
But whales swim in the ocean. They can't live in a desert. What this tells us is that this place, where today there's a dry, hot desert, there was once an ocean. And that's not the only habitat that's changed. Traveling back towards North America.
All right, we're going to stop there. It's really interesting that we can see how landscapes have changed over time based on looking at the fossil. What I would like for you to do now is head over here to Google Classroom, and there's just one really simple question that you're going to answer about that last thing that we learned, okay, about the Sahara Desert. So make sure, if you weren't listening carefully, maybe rewind it for a few seconds and listen carefully about how the environment in the Sahara Desert has changed over time. Alrighty, guys, good luck, and I hope you learned something today. Have a great afternoon. Bye.